are you today?
Hi,
Okay,
Stacy.
good morning or good afternoon. Is it morning?
It's morning for here in Washington State.
Hey, Maya, how are you?
I'm well, and you?
I'm well.
Good.
Hi, Maya.
Okay,
Hi,
Allison.
Allison.
And I'm not as profound as it may seem in the quote. We'll talk about that later. But good afternoon for those of you all who are on the East Coast with me. Good morning for everyone else. It is my pleasure to be here today. Um, I'm actually sitting in for my good friend Kristen Webb, who is the mastermind behind the Greater You Leadership Series. I'm an owner. This group was founded in 2019 by Kristen, and she actually leads the team in um, performing, leading, facilitating a diverse amount of training, speaking, facilitating, all of that. And I'm sure that many of you have had the opportunity to experience the Greater You Leadership Series. I do not know why I'm messing this up. Maybe it's because I'm a little nervous. But it is, if this is your first time, you're going to love these 4 days with us. And if not, then you already know what to expect. I am your facilitator. I'm Stacy Gregg. I work in public procurement. I also do my own thing where I facilitate courses, build courses. I've started keynote speaking and I have started coaching. All right, so if you haven't already greeted me in the chat, I would love for you to do that so that we know who's in the room. And y'all, thank you so much for being here. So over the next 4 sessions, we're going to deep dive into these 4 pillars of leadership. Now, at the end of the day, the Greater You Leadership Series has done the research and found out that if you're going to be a good leader, self-awareness, accountability, effective communication, and servant leadership are what you will need to focus on in order to have a great foundation. Now, as for me as the facilitator today, if you've ever had a chance to experience me, I'm just going to go ahead and let you all know that I do not like a quiet room if I'm facilitating. And I say it all the time, I'll be miserable and you'll be miserable if you have to listen to me talk and share the entire time. So I say that I'm here to facilitate a discussion with you for this hour. And I'd like for you all to, if it's in the chat or if it's using your own voice, just feel free to speak out, add what you know about this, share stories, add your experiences, because at the end of the day, we're all made better when we share our experiences together. Are y'all with me?
Yes.
Yes.
And we're agreeing to this, right?
We are.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I hate to call people out, but I will do it. So what are you going to get out of this? After the series, we will all, because I'll be with you here all 4 times, as a facilitator this time and as a student the next 3 times, we're going to get insight to our own leadership style strengths and areas for improvement. And then we're also going to be equipped with strategies to build a culture of accountability, which is something that's missing in a lot of places these days. I'm not sure if anybody would agree with me on that. We're going to understand how these 4 pillars, self-awareness, accountability, effective communication, and servant leadership, actually will foster or combine to foster transformative leadership. And we're going to discuss techniques that we can use in our workplaces, our homes, our churches, wherever it is that we're leading. Are y'all ready for a good hour?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So now the quote behind me is you cannot stumble upon greatness. You walk up to it and introduce yourself. And that is a Miss Kristen Webb quote. Like I said, I'm not profound enough to come up with this one now. I do say some profound things, and y'all can tell me if I do, but this one is not mine. And so I want to stop and focus on that for a minute because that's actually to me a lifestyle. And we all need to think about that and how we live every single day. I'd shared with Kristen a couple of hours ago when we were chatting that there was an instance when I was checking into the Marriott in Philadelphia, and everyone that I passed, like the concierge, the desk, all of them, they had tags, ribbons on their name badges that said, if not excellence, why? And I told her that stuck with me all these years. That was in 2014. And that stuck with me all these years. And so is this. If you want to live a life that is great, if you want to have great things, if you want to be a great person, then it's up to you to make that happen. How do y'all feel about that?
I agree.
Anybody disagree?
Nope.
All right. So we're going to make a commitment. We're going to start walking up to greatness, introducing ourselves. All right. Let's talk about leadership. How do you define leadership? Anybody? Nobody?
A leader, I would say, if you're okay with me speaking, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure supposed to unmute.
No. Y'all, it's Stacy.
Okay.
We're friends. Just start talking. Y'all don't have to raise your hand, none of that stuff. Just start talking.
There's many perspectives on what is leadership. Leadership, I say, just recently learned, in my opinion, kind of doesn't really start at the top. It starts at the bottom. So your people are ahead of you when it comes to leadership. You put them in front of you, and a good leader works to see them succeed and grow within any organization. That's how I feel.
I love that, Derek. I absolutely love that. So at the end of the day, if you're going to be a leader, you have to consider the perspective of the people that you're supposed to be leading. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Correct.
And you have to consider what's best for them, what they are working with, their capacities, and any problems that they walk into the room with, right?
Agreed.
Anybody else have a perspective they want to share? So Ashley is saying God inspire, motivate, and effective communications towards a shared vision. I like that, Ashley. And I see you're getting some hearts. Anybody else? Okay, so in order just so that bringing out the potential of others to greater outcomes as a group. I love that. I think there's more behind that though. That's why I stopped y'all because I was reading the words. Bringing out the potential of others to greater outcome of the group. Yeah, I do like that, and I think that that requires some insight. And if you're going to be a leader, I think Sophia, that's a good segue to what we're going to be talking about today, because we have to do some work on ourselves in order to even see potential in other people. What do y'all say to that?
I'd love to hear more of it.
I was ready to say, I'm just going to assume that y'all are talking. I mean, y'all are talking and your mics are muted, so I'm not having a conversation by myself. All right, so let's level set on what we're going to be talking about in the next slides, right? Just so that everybody is on the same page and we're all referring back to the same thing, I have this definition for you. Leadership is the ability to influence, direct, and guide self and others towards a goal. So now notice that the first word highlighted is self. I think I just said it. It's important to note that not only do you have the ability to lead others, but you have the ability to lead yourself. And not only do you have the ability to lead yourself, but you have the responsibility to lead yourself. Would you all agree with that? You hear it a lot of times
Yeah.
with young people. Y'all tell me this. My child, it aggravates the devil out of me, and she's grown now. But especially when she was in high school. Well, they made me do this, and they made me do that. How much power are you placing in the hands of somebody else or other people in that statement? If you say that someone made you do something, even if it's something like, I'll give y'all, uh, I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of transparency today because any of you all know me, know that I'm the most laid back, easygoing, sweet, nice person you ever could meet, right? Everybody agree? Anyway, I was sitting in a situation where I could feel, thank you, Tyson. I was sitting in a situation where I could feel myself getting heated about what was going on around me. And I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to just walk out of this situation. But it wasn't the proper thing to do at the time. So as I'm sitting there, and I can promise you, nobody was doing anything directly to me. It was just a personal trigger that was around me. That was, y'all, in transparency, related to grief. And I felt like I was just getting ready to be upset, and I just needed to remove myself from it. That was not a reasonable take. And so what I ended up doing was staying there because I made the decision. Who is going to have dominion over your actions? Is it going to be you or is it going to be other people? Absolutely, Allison. We have to have dominion over our own actions. So it doesn't matter if somebody cuts us off at the gas station and take our pump, or if somebody is going 69 in the far left lane all the way from my house to work, keeping me from getting here on time. I have to have dominion over what I do and the decisions I make. And so the very next part of the definition is others. And so we've talked about that before. If we are going to lead others towards a goal, again, we have to have an awareness of what we're doing and how we're thinking. And Derek has already said it. We've got to have an awareness of the people around us because you cannot lead people effectively. You cannot influence and you cannot guide if you don't know the starting point and if you don't know what's playing in the background of their lives. What do y'all say to that?
I agree. It's
First of all, they won't respect you. If people don't think you care, they won't respect you. And y'all, so I know I work in government. A lot of us work in government, right? I don't have money to give people, right? But a big thing for my team is that we're underpaid. That's a big complaint. They need to pay us more. I don't have a salary to give anybody, but I do show respect and care for the people that I work with. And because I do that, I can ask them to do crazy things and they do it because they know there's that care and respect. That's the relationship that we set up. Derek is saying, agree, the toughest leadership to be in is one where your team doesn't have your back. Absolutely. And a lot of times they'll have your back if they know that you have their back. Whose experience is that? Even not even as a person that is leading, but as a person being led. If you know people don't care, a lot of times what do you do? Do you check out? Has anybody been in a situation where they checked out and said, have it your way, do whatever you want to do? I definitely have. That is my thing. And Tyson is saying exactly my philosophy has always been I wouldn't ask you to do something that I would not. And that's something I learned way back when I was a teenager working at McDonald's and leading teams there. If I'm not going to take out the trash, I can't ask anybody else to. Absolutely, Derek. Leading by example. All right, so y'all kick out some things. What are some traits of effective leadership? What do we see in other people that you all feel like makes them an effective leader? Jewel, I can totally understand that. So we have empathy, compassion, respect and honesty, active listener, adaptability, integrity, support, coaching, visionary. All right, so here's some ones that we came up with. Curating an experience from what they share, they want, need, and desire. I love that, Erica. Did we get it right on this slide? Do you guys think any of this doesn't make sense? What about decisiveness? Has anyone ever worked with somebody who couldn't make decisions?
Girl.
So, Erica, is that a yes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, y'all can hear me.
Uh-huh.
Listen, I didn't even know. Y'all can hear me. Okay, yes, that's a yes.
So, okay, so evidently that was a bad thing. That was not a good experience for you, Erica.
Didn't even know. I thought I was muted already. Listen. I'm trying to be in the chat talking. Now I'm gonna put myself on mute.
Okay, well you can speak up anytime you want to. Mary Beth is saying torture. It is a terrible place to be in. Well, and I was just talking to someone who here on this campus who was saying when they had an interim, we had an interim CIO for a few months, and she said he just would not make any decisions. It's like we don't know. Do we need a PO or do we not need a PO? Can we come in late? Can we not? Like what do you want us to do? Definitely empathy. And sometimes empathy come easier for us when we've been in that situation. But that's definitely something that we need to work on when we are leading teams. And that's again, y'all, anywhere that we're leading teams. And confidence, I think, is another good word because if people don't feel like you're confident in what you're doing, they'll run all over you. So good leaders inspire high performance, foster cohesiveness, support organizational change, and promote effectiveness. What do y'all say to these bullets? Would you all agree? If you don't have a good leader, what does performance look like? A lackluster at best, right? And I'm gonna tell you, has anyone ever been in a situation where the leader creates chaos amongst the team members? How was that for y'all? First of all, that's gonna impact performance. If your team members are not getting along, they're not gonna perform well because it's it's creating a challenge with the cohesiveness. High turnover, yes, it's the worst, causes unnecessary stress. It does. And a team needs to toxic, thank you, Allison. A team needs to know that they can depend on the others in the team, right? And so if you're creating this chaos among your teammates, then you just have no idea what's going to happen amongst your teammates, right? I could call in sick tomorrow, have a big project on my desk, needed to be gone when I get back. And if nobody on my team is getting along with me, it's still going to sit. That's going to impact how we handle our customers. So now we're going to move more into self-awareness. Remember again that we have 4 pillars that we're looking at. This one is definitely the one that we'll be talking about today. Now I just have, this is a side question because I do take side streets sometimes. Does anybody find the concept of self-awareness to be a little intimidating? It can be sometimes, yes, at times. Has anybody ever sat down and done the work to take a good look at who they are, what motivates them, why they respond to their environment? So Erica is saying no as a therapist, no. I will go ahead and admit I had a therapist maybe about a year ago following the loss of my twin sister, and that look at yourself can be pretty tough, especially when you start digging up things that you don't like about yourself. But the work is definitely necessary. All right, so we have a quote from Peter Drucker. Anybody aware of Peter Drucker? He worked in the realm of management, psychology, sociology. I was actually, my degree is in management, and every day that was Peter Drucker was it, like father of it. Self-awareness is the foundation of growth. Without it, we cannot lead ourselves, let alone others. What do y'all say to that? We talked about the necessity of leading ourselves. And we talked about the necessity of being able to lead ourselves in order to lead others. And I'll say that there's actually been arguments that I started that when I went back and thought about it, I had to go back and apologize. And in fact, I was sitting in the CFO's office, my supervisor, last week, and he told his assistant, these days she's just so spicy out her mouth, I don't know what to do with it. And I had just said that to them, like, yeah, I've been arguing back and forth with him so much. And he said, but then what'll happen is she'll turn around and call me and say, that was my bad. I shouldn't have talked to you like that. Because I sit down and think about it. And I think there's something else playing in the background, but I won't say what it is. But it has me getting older. And because I'm getting older, things are happening. And so some things are out of balance. And so, yes, I will admit that, yes, I have been getting spicy with my supervisor. And then I realized that I do like money coming in the bank on the 1st and 15th. So I need to get all of that in check, right? So transformative leaders must first understand themselves. And so what we're talking about here are our values, strengths, weaknesses, and emotional triggers. Y'all have heard me talk about this, right? So far in these first 20 minutes. It fosters authenticity and emotional intelligence, allowing leaders to align their actions with core principles. Erica, I love it. You had to start your own business because you're spicy. I love
Listen,
that.
I get in trouble all the time. Listen, I said, let me just go and run my own business.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm at a HBCU now, and so I feel like they're happy that I'm showing up for work every day. So they let me get away with more than I should. There wasn't so much at USC when I was there. So when we continually reflect on our behaviors, then we are placing ourselves in a position where we can adapt and grow. And then we can also make conscious decisions about how we can positively impact the world around us. When we are self-aware, we become more modest and humble enough to seek feedback. And sometimes, y'all, feedback will strengthen our ability to lead more. Anybody, like I said, y'all, management, anybody ever seen a 360-degree performance evaluation? In that style, what happens is not only does your evaluation, Erica says yes, not only are you evaluated from your supervisor, but your customers take part in your evaluation and the colleagues that work with you take part in your evaluation. So you get a full perspective about how you're seeing your impact and your effectiveness. So we will define self-awareness and leadership by uncovering its benefits in supporting effective decision-making and team engagement. And we'll also talk about how to identify our leadership strengths and areas for growth. Self-awareness, y'all, is going to be our foundation for effective leadership. It allows us to understand our strengths and recognize our weaknesses, if nothing else. But it also puts us in a position where we understand our triggers, we understand our values and our goals. That is pretty much what we're talking about. So I've given you all several examples of when I actually had to make myself aware. And one of the times, like I said, there was one big blow up with our CFO that I was having, and he basically said to me, well, he didn't say this to me. What I heard was, Stacy, you and I are strategic and logical thinkers. We cannot expect people who make a whole salary more than you to be strategic and logical because they don't have the capacity. That's what I heard. Now, if you heard that, how are you responding?
Let me get out of here.
Well, and Erica, absolutely. And so I'm gonna tell y'all, I was seeing red because wait, I'm making this, they're making this, and you're expecting more from me than what you're expecting from them. And so some of that spice did come out. I thought about it for 2 days, y'all. This happened on like a Thursday or Friday. I didn't speak to the man for 2 days. And then on Sunday, I went on and sent a text that said, okay, I was wrong. You know, what I said was not right. I should not have behaved the way I behaved. And he responded back, Stacy, we're not going to agree on everything. But my thing was, we may not, because clearly your values are a little different than mine in this situation. But I still have to respect the position that you're in. That was a moment of clarity for me. And so what we're talking about here is the conscious knowledge of your own character. Number one, the validity of how I was feeling in that moment. Like I still think it was valid how I was feeling. But who I am is someone who is respectful and honors people in authority. And that's not what I was doing. And so I had to circle back and make that right. How do y'all, what does that sound like to you all? Like, am I sounding crazy to y'all? Maya saying she's been there. Okay, reasonable. You were accountable. I was. And that's who I am too. And I feel like if somebody is making a certain amount of money, right? That person that was making them, I felt like he was not holding them accountable. That was what our whole conversation was about. So at the end of the day, leaders who are self-aware are better equipped to make effective decisions because he also could have written me up because I was not being the person that I needed to be in that moment. And so make effective decisions, also navigate challenges, build strong relationships, because now if I told you off, how reluctant may you be to come back and speak to me, especially in the hard conversations, because I think this is where we are with society, where if people have hard conversations with you, or if people correct you, or if people say no, then what you're feeling like is they don't like you, when really they're just trying to be honest. And the person that I am want real conversations. I don't want people to placate me, because I feel like if that's what's around me, if I have nobody around me that's going to say, Stacy, you were wrong on this, then I'm heading for disaster. And then people who are self-aware inspire the people around them. They're more likely to inspire the people around them. Ashley's saying in the moment it's hard to step back and see the big picture, but it's important to do so. Ashley, I totally agree. And I feel like that's something that we have to train ourselves to do. What do y'all say to that? That's not coming easily at all. We have to train ourselves to do that. And self-awareness's impact on leadership is decision making. It impacts how we communicate. It impacts our emotional regulation and our accountability. Erica, I love what you just said. We have to model healthy relationships. And that's important in our homes more than anything else, right? Anybody now, this is personal. So y'all are some of my closest friends. Anybody raised around people, maybe not your parents, but other people, or in anywhere in your family, who don't have a level of accountability as a child? Because back in the day, the generation before us, I'm Gen X, they did not feel like you needed to apologize or admit wrong to children. Anybody growing up lived under that or with that or seen that? Did anybody model that differently with your children? And what a difference does it make, right? That level of vulnerability makes you a more person, more of a person to your children than an institution, right? Am I doing too much? Y'all can say that. Derek says that's the only way you break the cycle. And there was a lot of self-awareness work that was
You are
happening.
never gonna be doing too much. Okay, I'm enjoying this, and I don't even like coming. My daughter says she enjoying it too.
Oh, thank you. Tell your daughter I said hello. Derek says it's the only way to break the cycle. And I'm going to tell you all, I had to do a lot of self-awareness work when my daughter was born, because there were cycles that I saw on my side as well as her father's side that I felt like could not be passed down to her, that I would be failing her as a mother if I let that stuff go back down to her or trickle down to her. So a lot of work I had to do when I became a parent. And now I get to see the fruit of that. So let's talk about this. Impact on leadership, um, improved decision making. We are we understand our biases and our emotions. And again, that helps us to plan, right? Like I just said, I actually had to sit down and look at, is this something that I want for my daughter? Is this the experience that I want for her? And there's no judgment on my parents. I just knew that the childhood that I had, I didn't want for my daughter. I wanted better. And I think that's something that we all think about with our children. This is where I am. This is where I want her to be. Or this is the experience I had. I want her experience to be better. With communication, self-awareness, as leaders, as self-aware leaders, we recognize that our communication style affect others. And again, that was something that I learned as a parent. My 1-year-old daughter could barely speak, but if I know I'm picking her up late from the babysitter in the morning, I'm telling her that so that she knows if when her little body feels like it's 5 o'clock, if mommy is not there, she's not expecting mommy to be there. The result of that is a child who grew up always me being able to reason with her. I very rarely had to discipline her because she always knew what to expect. Now, to the point where she was in high school and in college, and if she was home and I left the house and didn't say, Zara, I'm leaving, then I got a text like she was disciplining me. How dare you leave the house without telling me you're leaving, right? Because she needs to know. But it created this feedback or this communication pattern between us to the point where a lot of things I know about this child at 24, I would rather not know, but she doesn't know how to keep stuff to herself. Even though I've told her some things you got to sneak and do. Like, mommy can't know everything. Like, in any case. And it is definitely a level of respect. So as a self-aware leader, our emotional intelligence is higher and is rooted in self-awareness. We when we are self-aware, we become leaders who don't who can handle pressure. Just like I was talking about you all, I was talking about the other day when I was in a situation where I felt like my trigger was being pushed and I had to make a decision about how I was going to respond to that. And I always say, we're either going to respond or react, right? I'm not a reactive person because if you get to the position where you're reacting, then you're out of control. So I always want to be the person who responds. And as that person, then what I'm doing is creating a stable and supportive environment for the people around me. And then we also have higher accountability and self-integrity. And we've already discussed that. Does anybody want to add anything to the list? Or any discussion for anything that I've said? So we have a quick activity. If you all could take a few minutes to read the list and just kind of grade yourself on these questions. So with 5 being always true, 1 being rarely true, if you guys could just put a score on each one of these, and then we'll come circle back and look at what we came up with. And actually what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to request that we share these 2 slides so that you can do this with more thought than what I'm giving you right now, just in case you want to do this. Mary Beth, you're agreeing that it would be nice if I shared these 2 slides? All right. And so have you all had a chance to read? Do me a favor and raise your hand whenever you're done. So I'm going to share again, y'all. I'm just being so open and transparent with y'all. I'm going to share that Erica just gave me the best idea ever because I'm most of the time instructing, I can never figure out how to raise my hand on this side. It never occurred to me to raise my hand in the chat. I love it. I love it. All right, since we're sharing the slides, I'm just going to go ahead and move because I don't know that I have permission to keep you all here any longer than 1 o'clock. And so, and I've been doing a lot of talking. So based on what you have, if you add up your score, you have a description here in this box about yourself, a little insight on your level of awareness. And then these scores should provide you all with an understanding of where you stand in your self-awareness journey and actually offer you some insight for your growth and improvement. And again, I will definitely ask that you can move this forward with the slides so that you could go back and revisit it and really think about what's going on in these sections. Is that good for everybody? Anybody have anything they want to share from the assessment?
I feel like it takes a lot of time and intentionality to go through and do this. And I feel like I need to put more like planning time in my week to literally just sit and look at like without any tasks in front of me. Maybe it was just a cup of coffee at a coffee shop or something to just get away from all the distractions to really think about it. Cause I have good intentions of doing it. And then the phone rings or someone comes into your office. And so doing it at work doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. It needs to be outside of the work environment.
I love that. And so maybe Saturday morning, right? Maya, because I find that first thing in the morning before the world really starts to seep in is my quiet time. So maybe like a Saturday morning at Starbucks, you can, or
Likewise.
Dunkin', or
Yep.
Dunkin', because that's
Well,
my favorite.
that's the East Coast. We ain't got those.
Oh, okay. I do apologize. You are Starbucks people. So yeah, that's a great idea, Maya. Thank you for sharing that.
I think this is Kasana. I think like leaning into urgency, it prevents me from taking time to be reflective in terms of like how my leadership is impacting others, especially when there's a big project or an urgent task. And it's like do, and not taking time to really, truly, genuinely reflect and pause.
I think you're right. And I'm going to encourage you all after you actually take a look at it and you reflect on what you saw in that first slide and come up with the answer. Don't just stop with the reasoning and the interpretation, but really sit down with whether or not this aligns with who you thought you were. And if it does, what do you do with what you saw or what you now know about yourself? Will you all commit to doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so now that we've reflected on our own self-awareness, I do want to talk to you all about how to create your own dialogues, internal dialogues for self-awareness. One is mindfulness. Um, does anybody participate in that, in any type of mindfulness activities? So it's a state of, okay, so Calvin is saying, yes, I love that. Um, it mindfulness activities actually put you in a state where you are very calm and reflective of what's going on around you. You're soaking in everything that you're feeling, everything that you're thinking. You are, controlling your body such that you are relaxing so that you can create awareness of what's around you. There's many ways that you could take this on. Um, I'll share that one is Mary Beth saying she needs to be more consistent. One is one thing that I do every night is turn on YouTube on my TV, right, in my bedroom, and look up mindfulness videos, because now there's so many that if you just turn it on, it could go all night, it could go just a few minutes, but it guides you into the relaxation, um, into the releasing of stress from your body. And there's the background music playing and all of that. Catherine, I need to ask, because I think I lowered your hand before. I'm not sure if I lowered it or not, but I ignored it. And I wanted to make sure it's still residual. Okay. So yes, that's one way. YouTube on the TV, or YouTube in your desk or at your desk. If you shut your door, you have, 15-minute break, shut your door, and just want to go through the activity of releasing stress. This is something I picked up during the pandemic with the University of South Carolina. The Student Health Center actually did this every day to help students, because we figured out that our students were suffering with their mental health because of the pandemic. And so it was something that they offered every single day. And so I got into the habit of this. Mindfulness involves being fully engaged in the activity. So you have to shut out things. Sometimes you turn off the lights. Another way that I do this is you walk into your backyard, stop, be aware of everything that's going on in your backyard. So it might be crickets, it might be birds chirping. It might involve you walking around. Maybe you're praying, maybe you're meditating, saying your own chants, feeling the different textures on the leaves. Maybe if it's okay, I was getting ready to say that, to simply, Erica's saying, simply stopping to wiggle your toes or staring at a spot in the wall. Absolutely. And I was getting ready to say that because there's this theory that if you have your feet, now, Erica, I do understand you're probably talking about inside, but there's this theory that if you have your feet on natural ground, grass, soil, that it grounds you. And so maybe that's something you do, like I said. So you're experiencing the earth through your touch of your fingers, touching on leaves, and also
It
with
does
your feet.
it does ground you, and you can actually, if you just really tune into it, you can feel the earth kind of, you ground yourself and you can feel the energy from the earth move into your feet. Just to give it a try. Just give it a try. You all will love it. Just just give it a try. Grounding is amazing.
Right. So maybe what you do is you go outside at night when it's a little dark, dusk, and you enjoy your yard in the evening. Deep breathing, Calvin. Absolutely, which is something that we were going to go into. Look that up online as well, right? I don't know if anybody has ever done this, but there are different techniques. One that I particularly like when I am participating in mindfulness activities is actually called box breathing. And so what happens is you breathe in right through your nose. So maybe 3 seconds, and then you hold it for 3 seconds. And then you exhale for 3 seconds and you hold it for 3 seconds. Y'all see where I made the box? And I'll try it this way. Breathe in, hold, exhale, hold. What happens when you do that is that it starts regulating your heartbeat. And so if you have stress on you, it actually starts to release it. It slows your heartbeat, starts to release the stress. And something that I'm picking up, don't tell anybody, this is our secret, but I'm trying to pick up yoga, only because I'm clumsy and I don't want y'all to be thinking about how Stacy might be falling while she's trying to pick up this yoga. But that also creates an opportunity for you to actually do the breath work that Calvin was talking about. Journaling is another way. And now I will say this, journaling is something that you have to be committed to. And that's not, if you're not a person that journals, then you actually have to discipline yourself into doing that. A quick way to do this is something my sister used to do, is every night sit down, look at your day, and write one thing that you're grateful for that happened that day. My sister used to do it on Facebook. And so she was really committed. She did it for years to the point where people would actually send her texts at night, saying, listen, I'm trying to go to bed, but I can't go to bed until I see what you're grateful for today. There's something about gratitude that creates more gratitude in your heart and also in the hearts of the people around you, right? So even if you can't like fully journal, if you could just show a gratitude in a journal. And then seeking feedback. We've already talked about this. There's something about going to the people around you to see whether or not there's some actions that you took, how you perceive something, how you said something, if it was the same thing, if it appears to you the same way it appears to them. And there's absolutely nothing wrong in asking people how you can get better. So now we're going to go over one. We have several case studies. We're going to go over one. Let me ask you all this. Will anybody absolutely pass out if we go over 5 or 10 minutes? Are y'all going to talk about me like a dog and send Kristen something asking her not to have me back? All right. Okay. Right, Erica, like a dog. You know how people do. You know. All right. So Emily's leadership blind spot. Let's go over this. Emily is a project manager, a project lead at a growing tech firm, and she is known for being efficient and results driven. Her team feels disconnected and undervalued as Emily rarely seeks feedback and tends to micromanage. That's a weakness of mine, but I have a self-awareness that I micromanage, and I give my team permission to tell me to go mind my business. Recently, her team missed a key deadline because they were afraid to tell Emily about a potential issue, fearing her reaction. So my question to you is, what can Emily do to increase or improve her self-awareness to recognize that impact or her impact to the team? Anything?
First, she's gonna have to do some things that are not related to the to the work at hand to build relationship. She needs to know them. So she has to do stuff like have luncheons or uh, have a celebration or take them out to eat or something. She needs because right now they irritated with her. They don't want to be bothered with her. So she's gonna have to do something that is not related to work to kind of build the rapport.
Absolutely right. I think that goes back to what Derek said earlier in that there's got to be some leadership from the bottom in order to make that right with them. And that leads to the next question. What immediate actions can she take on in order to build trust and encourage open communication? Because the truth of the matter is they're not communicating with her because they don't trust her, right? Allison says stop micromanaging and to trust them with things. Now, and like I said, that is absolutely a weakness of mine. I know that I have a tendency to take over and micromanage, but I've also given my teams permission to respectfully come to me and say, I feel like you're micromanaging me. Let me handle this and sit back until I do. Derek says he'd ask his team individually, what can I do better for you? And where do you need help? I guess that the word is. Let me say this to you. There has to be some trust. Derek is saying yes. There has to be some trust. And Derek is right. She needs to be able to go to her staff and say, what can I do to make this change, right? But if they feel like she's not a reasonable person, are they going to be honest with her? So she's definitely got to look at herself, and she's got to, like Erica said, there's got to be some work where she takes them out. She shows interest in who they are. She has to show them or model empathy, and she has to create an environment of team. That's why I'm very careful never to say that the people I work with work for me, because we work together. And if one of us fails, we're all failing, because nobody's going to say this person messed it up. They're going to say procurement messed it up. And Erica, I feel like you're right. She needs to apologize. Apologies go a long way. And so just to say, I'm sorry, I messed this up. I can't believe that I've created a situation where you all don't trust me, would go a long way with her team. What else do we want to add to this?
Well, I want to add a full apology. I don't think people really understand what that means. A full apology is you acknowledge that you did something. You then talk about specifically the behavior that you've done. You say that you're sorry, and then guess what? You have to change the behavior and allow everyone to check you on that behavior. Now that's good leadership.
Right. And if you're in the church all the time like I am, we would call it repentance, right? You apologize, but then you turn your back on it. And not on your apology, but on that old behavior. You've got to walk away from that old behavior, because it has no credibility. Your apology has no credibility if you continue to operate in the way that you're operating. Am I doing too much, y'all? All right, nobody's saying yes. So, all right. So now that we've discussed making ourselves more aware and how we're going to work on self-awareness for ourselves, let's discuss how we help our teams, because we've looked at all the reasons why self-awareness is a good thing, but it shouldn't be just to us. It needs to be for everyone on our teams.
He's adorable.
And so some of the things that we might want to do is encourage reflection, have them look at themselves. And I've certainly had conversations with people on my team about um, maybe you want to take a look at our EAP policy. Promote feedback seeking. And for those of you all who are in procurement like I am, that's something that we do all the time, right? Like, I know that my answer is not going to be right every single time. And so I'm asking other people if this is the right answer. And we also have to get feedback from our customers as well, in order for them to tell us whether or not we're getting it right. And that's in any service industry. We've got to get the feedback from the people that we're serving. We have to model self-awareness. Again, going back and apologizing, saying I was wrong. Even if it takes 3 days, say I thought about this and this is where I was wrong on this. This is how I feel like I can improve. Tell me if you think I'm on the good path with this. That's modeling self-awareness. Using self-assessment tools like the one that we just had, encouraging mindfulness with them. And again, maybe you share that, something that's new at South Carolina State University, as in maybe 2 weeks, are Zen dens all over campus, so that employees and students can stop their day, go into the den, and participate in mindfulness activities, massage chairs, the music, the smells, so that we can stop our day and participate in that. Also, we want to foster a culture of open communication. We want to ask reflective questions, and that's a part of coaching, right? So, and I have a friend that is so good at that, that half the time, when I get those kinds of questions, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see where I am the problem here, or I did create something that I should not have created. Encourage goal setting and accountability. And so we can see where a self-reflection tool has been added. Create peer coaching and mentoring opportunities. And so you guys have been with me for an hour. Y'all have listened to me tell all these stories about my crazy stuff. And I appreciate the group of you all and being my therapist and listen to me go on and on and on about this silly stuff that I do. But to recap what we've said, we want to identify personal leadership strengths and areas for growth, and we do that through this thing called self-awareness. Thank you, Mary Beth. Um, Self-awareness is definitely the foundation for our effective leadership. It helps us to understand who we are and helps us to make decisions in order to improve ourselves. And so hopefully moving forward, you'll figure out some things that will help you become more aware in addition to the actual pillars that we're moving into tomorrow and then 2 days next week. Again, those are accountability. Well, I done moved too fast. Accountability, which I should know this. Effective communication and servant leadership. Do we have any questions for anything that we've gone over today? So I'm gonna ask you all to do me a favor. Number one, if you thank you, Sophia. If you have anything that you felt like was helpful in the chat, go ahead and save it for later. Right now, so it'll come up whenever we finish. And so I want to make sure that you all understand that thank you, Ashley. I want to make sure that you all understand how important it is that you provide some feedback on what happened in this today. So if you could take a moment, share your experience about this workshop with us. I always ask that you please be very specific. My feelings are not hurt if you say Stacy just was not, she didn't do a good job at all, right? Because we just talked about the feedback and the self-awareness. I want to know how to make this better the next time I actually do it again. So you have a QR code and the survey will also be post email. If you could follow it up one way or the other and just let Kristen know how she felt like we did with this session, I would greatly appreciate it. You would be helping me, I promise you, even if it's something I don't want to hear. I will, Tyson, I will request that these materials get sent out to you. So the next one, tomorrow, accountability is what we'll be talking about. I will be in the room with you all tomorrow, 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, and then whatever the times are around that. I'm terrible with time zones. Dr. Julian will be the facilitator of that discussion. I'm sure it'll be great. I'm looking forward as well. And there is a code. So if anybody's interested in some coaching or some more information, please take this down, take a quick picture of it. And y'all remember this. You cannot stumble upon greatness. You have to walk up and introduce yourself to it. If you want any more information on the Greater You Leadership Series, please visit the website. And you see it's right there. There's also a QR code there. It has been my pleasure to be here with you all today. You're a great audience. No, not an audience because we're in it together. You're great participants. I appreciate the chats that we've had. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You guys reach out to me and get with the folks at Greater You Leadership. I'm quite sure they could connect you to me if there's any more that you want to talk about this. I really appreciate you all.
Can I ask a quick clarifying question? Is
Of
it
course.
tomorrow? Is it tomorrow? Is it 4 days this week, or is it once a week for the next 4 weeks
It
on
is
Tuesdays?
today and tomorrow, and then next
Oh.
Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh, for some reason I missed all that. I thought it was once a week.
So, Maya, I will circle back and send the dates to you,
That'd be
but
great.
I will also ask to I'll find out whether or not the recording can be shared with those of you who are all in the group, just in case you miss it.
Oh, Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, thank you all again. I appreciate you. You all have a beautiful rest of the day.